Welcome in, welcome on, and welcome to the Direct Podcast. Everything you need to know about the universes you love. I am your host, Matt Rimke, and I'm joined as always by my friend, co-host, box office correspondent, and senior editor at thedirect.com, Mr. David Thompson. David, the Direct Podcast is back.
We are so back. New feed, new shows, new era for the Direct Podcast. Same coverage of every major blockbuster franchise. We are so excited to be back and very thankful to everyone who has been tuning in and is tuning in right now.
Absolutely. This show has been around since 2020. So if you're an OG listener and you found us, thank you so much for finding us. If you are a new listener, thank you for being on the team. Everyone, please go do all the things that help a show, right? 5 stars, leave a review, share it with your friends. Let's get this thing going. Follow us on Twitter at David Thompson, DAAVID Thompson. Follow me at Matt Rimke, ROEMB as in boy, KE. We are brought to you by thedirect.com, the number one online source for all the movie and TV universes you love. So make sure to go over to thedirect.com to see what we got going on over there. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on YouTube at the Direct Extras YouTube page. All of those things. We're very excited to be here. All right, let's dive into it with our review of Phase 5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. All right, David, the MCU, the number one universe we love, right? The thing that started this all for a lot of us. Phase 5 has just concluded with the ending of Ironheart. Please make sure to go check out our Ironheart review uploaded on this podcast feed and on the Direct Extras YouTube. Today, David and I will be going through each live action project from Phase 5. We don't want to disclude the animation stuff. We loved X-Men 97. We loved Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, but a lot of projects, a lot to get to. So we took those aside. Those are great. Go watch those.
Mm-hmm.
David, I have here in front of me an aggregated ranking system that we will use to go through each of these projects. What we've done is we have combined David's personal rankings of Phase 5, my personal rankings of Phase 5. We polled our experts at thedirect.com and the members of the Direct Podcast Patreon page to come up with the direct rankings for Phase 5. And we're not going to stop there. We know Rotten Tomatoes isn't perfect, but it is the barrier of entry for anyone interested in any of these movies or shows. So we also included the critic score and audience score for each project. Hopefully, two personal rankings, a group ranking will balance all of those discrepancies, right? David's rankings, my rankings, the direct rankings, and Rotten Tomato critic and audience score. Here are the official rankings of the MCU Phase 5. David Thompson, are you ready?
I am so ready. I'm so excited to hear it.
Here we go. Starting at number 12, bottom of the list, Secret Invasion. David, you, me, the direct, and the Rotten Tomatoes audience all rank this dead last at number 12. Rotten Tomato critics put it at number 10. Any surprises here?
No. I mean, gasp, shock, awe. Like this arguably is the worst MCU project ever. At least it is in my rankings. So yeah.
I'm right there with you. This was everything went into making this a bummer, right? The anticipation for what this could have been, a very iconic Marvel Comics run. The cast, Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, we were very excited for that. Where we were in the MCU at the time, we were getting back to grounded stuff after a big multiverse push.
Quantumania just came out. Like we were excited. And that's the thing. Like it is a good note. Like we were excited for this. I even enjoyed go back. I mean, way back, like when we were doing like episode 1 reviews for Secret Invasion. It was one of those like slow, like wait, this isn't very good, and then it only got worse. That's like a rarity, I think, for Marvel Studios, is that it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And this was definitely the case. And looking back, it is aged so poorly. Like I don't think there's a Marvel project that's aged worse than Secret Invasion in everyone's mind, because it did things to upset fans at the end of the day as well. Like regardless of even being like an entertaining good show, it did things that made fans mad and will continue to when you look back and think about it, which is like the cardinal sin of these projects.
Absolutely. And it commits two cardinal sins, which makes sense that it's last. It's also kind of boring.
Right.
You know what I mean? It didn't have a lot of excitement to it, which at the very least is something a comic book project should be able to do. Secret Invasion, what a bummer. Number 12 on the list. Number 11, Echo, Disney Plus edition, binge drop, the first and only binge drop for Marvel Studios on
And
Disney
Hulu show.
Plus.
That was a whole thing.
And oh yeah, and you know what? Used it. Used it. You know what I mean? Not your father's Marvel show. You know what I mean? A lot of shit going on here. Um, David, you, the direct, and the Rotten Tomatoes audience all rank this at number 11 as the low end. The Rotten Tomato critics are the high end at number 8. Uh,
Where'd you have it?
Echo, I had it at 10.
Okay.
Not too
Yeah.
much higher, but
Hmm.
definitely at 10. For me, Echo, my biggest compliment I can give to Echo is that I had a good time watching it, and then I never thought about it again. And you know what? For a binge model drop for a show that nobody was super excited for, feels like a win.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I put it at 11 because it's so forgettable. Even though I don't even think it was that bad. Like honestly, I really don't even think it was like that terribly bad. It's just when you're dealing with, I mean, a really just kind of lower level MCU character, not even comic book character, just kind of like a character where like we saw her in Hawkeye and then she got her own show and no one was really like dying for an Echo show, but the show itself is I definitely don't think is like too bad. There's actually some pretty good action in it. Like go back and watch for that. Daredevil pops up. That's a lot of fun. So yeah,
That was
like
cool.
it's one of those where if Echo pops back up in the MCU, that's cool. I think she's a good part of the street level storytelling they're doing, but just like totally forgettable. Like it's one that it literally, like you just said, like it would literally slip my mind of like when it came out. Like you said, because of that binge model, it wasn't this like prolonged online conversation at all.
Which I think was the biggest benefit to it, right? It's forgettable in a way that when I'm reminded of it, I'm not thinking, oh, yeah, that sucked. I'm thinking, oh, that was pretty good. I just don't really think about it very much.
It was
Um,
good homework for Born Again, I will say.
sure, sure. And I think that maybe goes against it a little bit in that it did feel kind of like it was there just loosely set up some things or tie some knots for Born
I
Again.
know where
But
you've been, Kingpin. I know what you've been up to, right? Like
right,
when he says it
right.
at the beginning.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, man. But this is going to be a trend as we continue through this rankings. Nobody's really asking for Echo. When it was announced, people were like, "Who's this for?" I think it bucked that a little bit. It wasn't as bad as no one was asking for this. It's going to continue as we go down this list. That's my favorite trend in Phase 5.
Yeah.
Um, Coming in at number 10, our first movie on the list,
Oh,
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Rotten Tomato critics had it dead last at number 12. The Rotten Tomato audience were the high vote here, 7. Three
that's
votes
shocking.
above replacement. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I had it 11, so damn near at the bottom for me. David Thompson, the end of the Kang era here, and unfortunately, a project marred by off-screen, behind-the-scenes issues at Marvel Studios.
Yeah, I actually had a number 9, which is not meaning really anything. Honestly, it's not that I really enjoyed this movie. Like there are some aspects that aren't too bad. Ironically, I remember coming out of the theater being like Jonathan Majors Kang was the best part of the film. And that's like that goes back to the like age poorness of it all. Like when you look back, it's like, dang, like so if that's the best part, and then he gets fired from, off the field issues, fantastic. So it's just one of those where it's like I don't know if I'm ever gonna rewatch Quantumania unless we're doing something fun on the podcast. Like I just don't know. In my like there's so many MCU movies, and this is after Endgame. There's so many MCU movies I would be happy to go revisit. And it's not Quantumania like doesn't really check any of the boxes that I'm like would make me excited to go back for when it comes to like entertainment or MCU connectivity and like this the nerdiness of it all.
I'm right there with you. Obviously, Jonathan Major becoming what he became in the MCU It's a bummer. It sucks. You wish it didn't happen. But it does affect this movie fairly or not. But here's my biggest complaint about this movie, and I think why I have it at 11. Sure, Jonathan Majors is probably the best part of this movie. I think it was good, not great. And he's the best part of a bad movie. And I think the things that bring this movie down are pretty like foundational things. I think it's a really bad Ant-Man sequel. I think it really went away from the Ant-Man stuff. My biggest complaint about this movie has always been they took away the size factor. When you go into this quantum realm place, you're no longer a small person in a big world or a big person in a regular world. Like
Yeah.
the scale gets lost, and that's really kind of the magic of those Ant-Man action scenes that we get in the first two movies. On top of that, there's just kind of not the same kind of Ant-Man story that we like, like no Luis. I know that seems, very surface and fan servicey, but that's a big part of those first two Ant-Man movies being awesome. Very, very Quicksilver and X-Men. Like you remember the Luis scenes, and they didn't have anything like that in here.
Yep.
And my last thing on it, when we look back at the history of Jonathan Majors in the MCU, episode 6 of Loki season 1, unfucking real. You know what I mean? Really great. Oh
So
my
good.
God, this guy is incredible. I can't wait to see what happens. One of the best, if not the best, debuts in MCU history.
He Who
After
Remains.
that, He Who Remains. I totally forgot that. That was incredible, right? After that, though, we got Quantumania and whatever he was in Victor Timely in Loki season 2.
Hmm.
Quantumania is not like oh man, this guy's got to be the biggest thing in the MCU kind of performance for me. You know what I mean? I don't watch Quantumania and think, oh, I got to get more of this guy.
They defeat
You
him
know,
in the end. That was a huge critique. People said walking out.
right,
They defeated him.
right, and I'm personally not so much hung up on that. It's just like the character of Kang in this movie. I think a little bit of a letdown coming off of He Who Remains, which was, how does it not be? It was fucking incredible.
And by the way, this is for fans listening, I'm probably thinking like, what about the Council of Kangs? Like this is that. This is like this movie now has that like you think about it and you're like, ooh, like they have to. Are they going to resolve that? Are they going to ignore that? They literally showed us hundreds of Jonathan Majors variants. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. By the way, one quick thing, and we got to move off this one. Do you remember who wrote this movie?
Don't tell me.
It's one of those poppy names at the time that was going to take over Marvel.
Waldron.
No, so great guess. Jeff Loveness, who was
I
supposed to
love this.
initially do the Kang Dynasty, and then now we've made it all the way here. But he's the guy that like he was going to be in our lives forever, and now he's just not.
Waldron was Loki. Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeff Loveless, that a name that will live in infamy here in the MCU world. It's unfortunate, you know what I mean? It's a bummer all around.
it is.
Nobody's fault, but Jonathan Majors, I guess. Moving on. Number 9. This one stings a little bit more. Captain America: Brave New World coming in at number
Mm.
9. David Thompson, you had the high vote at 7. Rotten Tomatoes critics had the low vote at 11. David, you had the high vote at 7. Your thoughts on Captain America: Brave New World coming in at number 9?
Yeah, that's not awesome. I had the high vote because even then I was just. I think the main thing that draws me to put it where I did was just Anthony Mackie. I really enjoy him as Sam Wilson. I really enjoy him as Captain America now, and I really, really enjoyed the final fight against Red Hulk. I enjoyed when Red Hulk raged out. I enjoyed the CGI. It looked really good. Like when he it was actually getting a savage Hulk again in the MCU. To me, was a lot of fun. I liked Harrison Ford in the movie. It is a bit of a mess. It's not one of my favorite movies in the MCU, or just having just comparing it to movies that have come out this year. But there are some positives to me. It is mainly the action. It is mainly the charisma from Anthony Mackie, but even Joaquin Torres I like. But yeah, other than that, another kind of disappointment movie where it's like, damn, like I wish that had been better. I wish that had been more of like the Winter Soldier. Hard to compare, but I wish it had been like just higher quality, like grounded MCU.
Right. And you're not asking for it to be as good as the Winter Soldier, but more like it is a fair thing to ask for, I feel like.
Yeah.
This is a movie that it's an interesting one to me because it very much stands out, in my opinion, that the marketing and the movie itself did not blend together well. What we got in the marketing was a disservice to the way they told the story throughout the movie, specifically with the Red Hulk thing. You
Hmm.
know, the amount of times he almost and then didn't, and then almost and then didn't. And then it turns out it's a Godzilla situation where he's just in that final act
Yeah.
and it's supposed to be the, oh my God, he actually did it. The marketing really did that a little dirty once you got into the theaters. I
Right.
agree with you. The action, I think, does stand out. It's really fun. Sam Wilson's a great character. I love Anthony Mackie. Not his fault this movie's ranked so low.
The
For
Tiamat
me,
sequence is good too.
yeah, absolutely. A lot of great sequences. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The action's the winner of that movie for me,
Yeah. When he rides the
without a doubt.
missile.
Very fucking cool. Good gift too.
Yeah.
That's gonna live for a while.
Yeah.
Um, the thing I got this at 9. The reason this is so low for me is not necessarily because I think it's so bad or anything. The things I like about it are also included in a lot of the things we're going to talk about coming up. And then they had just some little extra juice on the back end for me. So it's a bummer. That's another. It's a different kind of bummer than Quantumania because you just kind of that is a almost a TASM 2 situation. And for new listeners, my TASM 2 theory is that sometimes a movie can be so good that the fact that it isn't great makes it bad. You
Hmm.
know, like you get so frustrated when a movie is like
We go
just
over
on the edge
the
of
event
being great.
horizon. Yeah.
Yes, and that's my TASM 2 theory that I apply any chance I can because that movie is the most frustrating comic book movie that has ever existed. I gotta rewatch it soon. It's been too long. I love
Yeah.
TASM, man. I love TASM. We move on. Number 8, The Marvels. Controversial one here. The Marvels comes in number 8. I and the direct have the high vote at 7. Rotten Tomatoes critics and audience low vote at 9. So we're all kind of right in the same range here.
I was at 8.
Uh, absolutely. The Marvels, man, fun movie. Good time at the theaters. Again, great action scenes. I thought the chemistry between the cast was really great. It's not upper echelon really in any facet, but when you have good characters, chemistry's there, action sequences are awesome, and the story isn't god awful. I think a really good blockbustery, popcorny Marvel movie that I think didn't get a fair shake.
Yeah.
Good.
This movie to me gets the oh it bombed. That had to be so bad. That movie has to be terrible, right? I think there's a lot of people that never saw this movie. I mean, that's what the box office told me. And then you're gonna tell me that it popped off on social or on streaming later. I think a lot of people never saw this movie, have no idea what this movie's about, and just think it's the worst thing the MCU's ever put out. That's not true. That's not the case. Um, Someone recently in my Twitter replies was like trying to like, did you see this?
No.
Uh, in my Superman reaction,
Mm.
someone had screenshotted some kind fellow. I maybe held on to it for a couple years and put that under my replies with like 100 laughing faces. Of course, I go on his account and it's like, Snyder this and Snyder that.
Naturally.
I stand by everything I said in that reaction, brother. Like, I knew you're probably listening, and like, you can go back and read it. Like, this is a fun movie. Amon Villani's a freaking superstar. I love Miss Marvel. That's not a part of this phase, but like, that all works great. I'd say the villain is like the weakness of that film. The stakes feel a little bit low, even though Monica gets shot out. Like, and it's a well, the unfortunate thing that I think Kevin Feige thinks that it's a kind of a pivotal chapter in this phase, like for building out the multiverse saga and what's going to then proceed into Avengers Doomsday. So I don't know. I mean, I think like the biggest thing with the Marvels is like there's no way this movie is as bad as everyone perceives it to be because it was the biggest flop in Marvel Studios history and really it changed the way the entire business looked at how the entire studio looked at how they're going to run the business going forward, which is crazy to say, but it's true.
Can I dust off my first movies or sports in the new era of the direct podcast?
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into movies or sports, where we take the fandoms of movies and TV and the fandoms of sports and talk about how similar they really are. Look, I'm not like standing on the table for the Marvels or anything. I have it at 7. We consensus ranked it at 8. It's not, I'm
Yeah.
not that far off of it. But you made a great point. I think just like in sports, there's a lot of movie fans, Marvel fans, whatever you want to call it, that saw the numbers for this movie on Rotten Tomatoes, the box office, this, that, the other, and decided that this movie is as bad as those numbers reflect.
Hmm.
Just like in sports, you often get people who read the box office, read the box score, see the per game averages, see that Tyrese Halliburton doesn't average over 20 points a game. Oh, he must be overrated.
Right. Yeah.
When you watch the game, when you watch the movie, you understand it is better than the numbers. And I think this is,
It is.
I think anybody who saw this movie would agree this is not the worst MCU movie of all time, like the box office numbers would suggest. Um,
Right.
so, and I always wonder, I don't put a lot of credence into this in a lot of other movies. Oppenheimer still made a lot of money. Did the actors strike really put a pressure on this movie because we didn't get that Brie Larson, Tiona Paris, Amon Viani interview circuit that we were all
No.
so excited to get. I
Yeah.
do think that could have put some sort of spark. That would have been a great run of marketing and press.
It 100% did, man. Like that needs to be talked about more, honestly. The fact that they could not promote this movie properly, it is the worst promoted MCU movie ever because of that. The actors could not promote the movie ahead of release. Like that's unforeseen, But they just released it, They didn't do the Dune thing. Like Dune delayed to 2024 because of Dune Part 2 delayed 2024 because of that exact reason, you know. I don't know, and I think I wonder if they look back and regret that because I think business wise, they thought they were somewhat bulletproof. Thought it would get a little higher of a floor. Couldn't promote it like the way they could, and these were the results. So
Ends up dropping the floor. Coming at number 7, back on Disney Plus, Ironheart, the most recent entry in the MCU Phase 5. David Thompson with the low vote at 10. The critics with the high vote. You want to guess?
7 or 6,
4.
4.
Rotten Tomatoes critics have this as their 4th highest ranked project in Phase 5 of the MCU. Ironheart. David, you got the low vote, so you start us off.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit on the finale. I was higher in the first 3 episodes, and then the last 3, it felt I didn't like a couple of decisions. I'm not going to get into spoilers because this is like a very fresh, and you probably may not watch this yet. So very spoiler free. I didn't like the back half as much, and I thought that the story in many ways was almost like incomplete. And we talked about it in the podcast. Go check that out for the finale. On what happens next might affect how I would rank Ironheart later.
Absolutely.
So that's my thought on that.
Yeah, and we said this on the review. This show, this season of television, has incredible potential to rise or fall in rankings depending on how they handle whatever comes next. If we do get a season 2 where they get to continue a lot of the things they set up here, I think we're going to look back at this a lot more fondly.
Right.
If we never get any follow-up, I think we're going to look back at this kind of where you ranked it and in that 10 spot. Now, a continuation of this can be seen in a Young Avengers show. It can be seen in a Champions show. Hell, it can be seen in a Doctor Strange movie. That's the amount of options
Vision
we
Quest.
have.
Yeah.
Vision Quest also on the table. That's the amount of options we have. We got a lot of stuff that we could tie this show into. This show for me is something where as I was watching it, my ranking wouldn't have been at 8 where I have it. The more I thought about it, it got up to 8 for me. You know what I mean? So
there's a lot of cool Iron Suit stuff in this show. That's like one of my favorite parts of it.
For sure. And I do like the themes that they're rolling with. Wow, that felt like really nerdy movie podcast guy. I really appreciate the themes here, and I think that they did a good job expressing the message that they were trying to put out. Shout out those guys. All those guys. That's not even specific. That's like just
me.
half the internet. That's half the algorithm. No, but like the Natalie stuff, the pet cemetery of it all, they end it in event like that is a risky ending. I appreciate that from Ironheart.
Very bold. Yeah.
That's something. The shows and movies we talked about so far can't say that.
No, that's
Can't
that.
say that.
Yeah.
So number 7, we have Ironheart. Then, damn it, sorry. Then we come in to number 6. I think you're gonna be a little shocked here.
Okay.
Daredevil Born Again
Okay. I had a 5.
coming in at number 6. David has it at 5. The high vote is the critics at 2,
That's
and
high.
the yes, it is, and the low vote would be the audience at 8. That's low to me.
Audience score was 8.
Yeah, well,
Interesting.
the ranking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh, okay.
Critics seem high, audience seems low. It comes in at 6. Full disclosure, it's tied with number 5. So technically, it's tied for 5.
Oh, okay.
Um, that makes a little more sense, I guess.
Yeah, that's funny.
I guess I read that wrong, but you, me, and the direct all had it at 5 as well. Daredevil Born Again. What is there to say that hasn't already been said? You know what I mean? It's in so many ways a continuation of a show that we all love. There's a lot of different, fresh, new takes on it throughout this season. Some people love it. Some people don't like it. I think there's a third sector of people that decided that unless it's just like the old show, they weren't going to like it. Therefore,
Mm,
they never gave it a chance.
mm.
I just want to point that out. Everybody's really excited for the fact that the next season is going to be completely by the team that made it just like the original stuff. The new stuff, I really liked still.
Mm.
All that being said, good show, great moments, awesome story. The fact that we knew we were getting a season 2 within 12 months helped that momentum in a really big way. We're not doing the Ironheart thing right now.
Right.
And I'm very excited for season 2.
Yeah, to me, like as a big Netflix Daredevil fan, this would rank probably last of the seasons in totality, but like that's okay. I think like they had a lot to kind of do in this show. They did a lot, and it was a new fresh take, of course, and I'm excited to see what season 2 does. And just I think like overall the direction was a little scatterbrained at times because of the behind the scenes stuff, but overall, yes. Like I enjoyed the show for what it was. I enjoyed the new Daredevil suit. I enjoyed a lot of the action. The finale was a lot of fun, and I'm really excited. I am hopeful that season 2 will be even better. And we're getting a Punisher special presentation, which is also going to be fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of things for the show to grow off of, and I think that's very exciting. So that was tied for number 5, and it was tied with, you want to guess?
Agatha.
Agatha all along. The biggest surprise of Phase 5, I would say. I don't think I'm being too bold with that title. David, you, me, and the direct all had the low vote at 6, so right there with the consensus ranking. Critics had it at 3.
Hmm?
Critics really like these shows. David Thompson, Agatha all along. Am I right in my proclamation that it's the biggest surprise of Phase 5?
I might have one later that I think is the biggest surprise, or maybe tied with Agatha. But you might be right. Definitely on Disney Plus, the biggest surprise. Maybe being the biggest surprise for me personally, as someone who's like I said this on the pod, like not my style really at all. And even then, I put it at 6, and it's just a quality thing. This show knew what it was going to be. That's it's sad, but like there's something about it where it's like the show knew what it was. It knew what it was going to be. It knew the story it was telling. It had focus. It had attention. Each episode knew where it was going. It had a plan. You could really tell. It was well executed, well cast, really, really fun cast,
Absolutely.
and just a fun show. Like it was just like I look back. It was a great time to release it around, Halloween, and yeah, like it's just one of those where, and also honestly. Last thing on this for me, I think it stands alone really nicely. I could see someone who's not even a Marvel fan that's more into like the spooky season stuff, just watching the show and being like, cool, and then never worrying about Marvel ever again. But then there's also Marvel fans like us, so it's like this adds a great connection to WandaVision. It's a successful, it's a sequel. Then it's going to lead into, Vision, and it could expand into more of the magic elements of the MCU. So overall, really solid, and like you said, surprising.
Yeah, I think because of the show, Jack Schaefer's my Phase 5 MVP. I guess I'll spoil that ahead of
Hmm.
time. But I obviously the showrunner for WandaVision, showrunner for Agatha all along. She's going to be the showrunner for Vision Quest. This
Yeah.
show has made the excitement for Vision Quest palpable. like we don't, and honestly, for all of Disney Plus MCU shows, we never know how good something can be. This one, much like Echo, who the hell asked for this? Who
Right.
the hell wanted an Agatha spinoff? Who's this for? Was the big
Yep.
question.
Yep.
Banger after banger. Opposite of Secret Invasion got better and
Yeah.
better and better every single week. And it just continued to be the underdog week after week that everyone just ended up loving. Billy, standout. Death, standout. Shazir Sameda, Patty LaPone, shout outs, man. They were all great.
Yeah.
And witch shit, awesome. I loved Agatha. Huge fan of this show. And I'm really excited to see what happens with Billy and the ghost of Agatha and everybody else in Vision Quest. This is what I wanted Disney Plus to be.
Right.
More and more. The tie-in comic of the MCU. And this is so that.
Yeah.
And
Great point.
I'm excited that we're going to continue with it. Coming in at number 4, I think a little shocking to some, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yep.
Deadpool and Wolverine coming in at number 4. The audience had it at the high rank at 2. Critics had it at the low rank at 7. Critics did not like this movie.
I could see that.
That makes a lot of sense. David Thompson had it at 3. I had it at 4. You had the higher vote. So, your thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine now that we are almost 2 years removed? No, 1 year removed.
A year removed. One thing I will say is that the top 4 for me was a tier break in my personal rankings, my personal thoughts. So this kind of enters like the best of the best tier when it comes to Phase 5 for me.
If I can put some numbers behind that. When you look at the rankings here, when you look at the scores, when you average all the different rankings between you, me, the direct, and Rotten Tomatoes, the tier break is between 5, the 2 tied at 5 and 7, where Agatha and Daredevil both had a score of 5 for their rankings. Ironheart, which came in at number 7, 7.2, so a 2-point swing there. So the tier break is between the 2 tied at 5 and 7 for the numbers, but for you, 4, Daredevil, Deadpool and Wolverine would be your tier break.
That makes sense though too. But yeah, for me personally, yeah, like if Deadpool and Wolverine's at 4, then yeah, that's my tier break into this top 4. And look, man, what a fun movie. Like so many people went and saw this. Like it broke so many box office records. I love the Deadpool character coming into the MCU. And ironically, it didn't even really come into the MCU in that big of a way. You know, that's the funniest part of it all. Like we were all so excited for it to like join the MCU. And it didn't, right? In many respects. By the end of the movie, they are not on like, you know, Earth 616 MCU sacred timeline, whatever you want to call it. They're still in like the X-Men universe, and getting Hugh Jackman back. I mean, it's just at the end of the day, the fact that they were able to get me to feel emotions about another Hugh Jackman Wolverine, that was unique and that was special. Jokes aside, which there is plenty of.
So many.
So, I mean, just endless amounts of jokes. In Sync was back. Bye 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 was trending. And I felt really old because people like had never heard the song before that. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. But yeah, no, really, really fun movie. That's a popcorn blockbuster. Like that, genuinely.
Absolutely. You mentioned this with Agatha all along. And you said it almost as like it's coming off as a shot. That movie knew what it was and didn't try to be more than that. I mean, that show. So many
comic books. As a shot.
Right, but like that.
I meant as a shot to other things.
Sure. So many comic book movies and shows, Zack Snyder, try to be so much more than what they are, and fail at doing so. And I think that's what hurts so many of these things is when they try to be so much more and it just comes off wrong.
Yeah.
Deadpool, Wolverine, guys. You know, I know auteurs and film experts and cinema enthusiasts,
the Academy
will not like this, but sometimes fan service works.
Yeah.
And when fan service is done well, it's as good as it gets, man. And that's the thing. Bad fan service sucks. That's for sure. But good fan service, that's kind of what this is all about.
Yeah. And there's low-key good and bad in this movie, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's some fan service that's much better than some of the other fan service, in my opinion.
A tribute movie. Fits in the MCU as well as it can, I think. One of those special editions of the MCU, I think.
Gambit's now going to be in the Avengers.
Come on. Come on, Channing Tatum. Can't beat it. Deadpool Wolverine comes at number 4. Number 3, Loki season 2. Um, the direct had it at the high vote at number 2. Audiences at number 6. Um, has to be a reaction to season 1. The audience being so low on that, you know what I mean? It's not season 1, so I put it at 6. I see the same thing as the Daredevil ranking. Loki season 2. I have it at 3. You have it at 4. This was an awesome season of TV. Really wrapped up the Loki story so well. This is what we can hope for in Ironheart. I'm not saying Ironheart and Loki season 1 are at the same level, but Loki season 2 elevates Loki season 1, I think, and it just puts everybody that we fell in love with in Loki and throughout the entire history of this character into such a cool spot. This character being on the board the way he is now, moving into Secret Wars, it's gonna be a fucking moment when he pops up next. It's gonna be a good
He
time.
had a chair. He had a chair.
Had him a chair. It's just sick, dude. I mean, this is epic comic book shit, and it happened on Disney Plus. This could have been a movie. It happened on Disney Plus, and I think that makes it special,
The most cinematic Disney Plus MCU project we've
without a
gotten.
doubt.
Incredible ending. So I mean, so pivotal. Like I know it's like a silly reason to like something, but just incredibly pivotal to the overarching story that we're telling here. Sylvie's great. Victor Timely's a fun character.
Mhm.
It's quasi. We've talked about this, like semi. You could. I mean, you've made the argument. The ending of season 2 of Loki, that could be the end of Kang if you really want it to be, you know? And that's a positive thing. But at the end of the day, Hiddleston was amazing. Kiwi Kwan joining the show was a great addition. And it was just sci-fi, wibbly wobbly, timeline, fun goodness to me. Like, as someone who's a fan of like time travel and this side of like storytelling, such a great time, such impactful moments. Those last couple episodes are incredible. Go back and watch them. I cannot wait to go back and watch them. I remember I sat here in my living room when Klein flew from Canada and hung out with us, and it was me, Jack, and Klein watched, I think, the end of episode 5 when everything starts to like spaghetti or whatever. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. And the feeling was just like, it was like we were in a movie theater, and that's very rare to get. It's arguably the best season of MCU Disney Plus we've gotten. So good.
yeah, really great. It's exciting stuff. Um, shout out Hiddleston, shout out Owen Wilson as well.
Yeah. Great ending to
Awesome
his
MCU
character too.
character.
Yeah.
Awesome MCU character. Coming in at number 2. It's only right. It only makes sense. Tis Thunderbolts. Critics have it at number 1 with the high score. Direct and audience have it at the low score at number 3. This is a fucking banger. Thunderbolts kicks ass. It's a crime at the box office. Um, the box office is the only bad number for Thunderbolts. It's the
Yeah.
only bad number. 78 million opening weekend, not all that bad. The run afterwards, sucks. But
Yeah.
this movie's awesome. I cannot wait to show my wife. Um, just a top 15 MCU movie for me. And again, no one saw this coming.
Yeah.
No one asked for this. Boy, did they deliver.
Yeah, this was my like if it's not Agatha, this was the big surprise for me. Like Thunderbolts was supposed to be like such to me it was gonna be cheap fun. You know, it was gonna be like, oh, it's this ragtag team. It's bringing these characters that we've met in Phase 4 to this like team up in Phase 5. Like it'll have a lot of cool action. It might have some Guardians vibes. It'll be comedic. Man, is this movie so much more than that? So much heart and so much weight to it. And I really love this movie. It's aging really well in my mind too since seeing it in May. It's such a shame it didn't become this big hit, but for those that have seen it and people will watch it on streaming, it's going to be a really great addition to the lead up into Doomsday as they're going to be playing, a huge part.
Yeah, it's such a great cast, great story. Yelena Belova MVP, Jack Schreier. I mean, the fact that he's now connected to X-Men, can't be more excited about it. Go listen to our Thunderbolts review from a couple months ago. It's on the podcast feed. We rant and rave. We talked about Thunderbolts for 4 weeks after that movie came out.
Yeah. It's a really good it's a really good movie. I
Really
think
good.
outside of Marvel. Like I think back to the auteurs of it all. Like it's I think it's a good movie. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Big fan. Big fan. Coming in at number one, not really shocked to anybody, especially not to me. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Critics have it low vote at 4. Me, you, the direct, and the audience all have it at number one.
The
Jimmy Gunn, man.
fans.
What are
Yeah.
you gonna do? What are you gonna do about Jimmy Gunn? Guardians of the Galaxy, the best trilogy in the MCU, if you ask me. And also, I won a debate one time. No big deal. No big deal, everybody. Man, that was fun. Man, that felt good.
That
Let me
wasn't
tell
fun
you.
for me. That was not
For
fun for
those
me at all.
for those who don't know, me, David, and friend of the podcast, co-founder of the podcast, Liam Crowley, all defended our favorite MCU trilogies. David had Spider-Man, Liam had Captain America, and I had the Guardians, and I won. It's fine. This movie's awesome. This movie's awesome, and I think it's just everything you love about Guardians, and there's three of them. You know what I mean? Like I just love it. You know, for new listeners, this is my favorite franchise. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, my favorite movie of all time. Not much more to be said. David Thompson, do you think you'll be sick of talking about James Gunn today?
No, nope. Just getting started.
Just getting started. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Coming in at Volume 3,
Fun
coming
three.
in at number 1. Your final rankings, 12-1. No, 1-12. We'll do. Number 1, Guardians 3. Number 2, Thunderbolts. Number 3, Loki Season 2. Number 4, Deadpool and Wolverine. Number 5, Agatha All Along. Number 6, no, tied for number 5, Daredevil Born Again. Number 7, Ironheart. Number 8, The Marvels. Number 9, Captain America Brave New World. Number 10, Ant-Man Quantumania. I'm not putting the Wasp in the title because the writers decided not to either. Number 11, Echo. Number 12, Secret Invasion. Given all of that, David, looking at the board, Phase 5, failure or success. What would you grade Phase 5 of the MCU when you think about the projects that we have and also the other phases throughout
Yeah,
MCU
you
history?
know, exactly. It's when we're grading a phase in its totality, it's about, for me at least, comparing it to how I would maybe rank or grade it compared to other phases. Because that's what it has to compete against, right? Like Marvel has set itself up to be these phases, have these moments. And for me, the thing that I think even translates into what we've been talking about for the last 30 minutes or whatever, these projects do not connect in a lot of ways. Very rarely are there big, deep connections with them. And that's my biggest flaw, I would say. Individually, there's good stuff. That top four for me is all great, in my opinion, as a Marvel fan. So my grade is going to be a C plus for those reasons, which might be a little harsh, but I think it's fair. For me personally, I think giving it a B would be disingenuous. I think there are some reasons that this thing gets brought down. Like I said, I think Secret Invasion is the literal worst project Marvel's ever put out, and that's in this phase. And a
Okay.
lot of stuff that I see half glass full, quite frankly, because I'm a Marvel fan. But I could see where you could be half glass empty on it, and that would even dramatically change that grade. So for me, C plus. And I think while that's not great, it might even be the worst ranking of them all if I were to put them all up against each other. That doesn't mean the future's in bad hands or we're in like some terrible spot like some people want to say.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's an interesting thing to look at, right? Because it's hard to compare phases 4 and 5 to phases 1 through 3 because of the Disney Plus of it all.
Yes.
Because they don't have the supplemental TV shows to either boost or bog down the respective phases. I think overall, it's been kind of a wash. It doesn't bring anything too high up. And if it does, there are projects that bring it down a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
If we include your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and X-Men 97, this phase gets a lot different, I think.
Mine would with 97, I would definitely have it ranked higher if that was like
Yeah,
factored in. It would be in
what
the
we were
B's.
doing today.
Yes.
Um, so I look at this and I think first and foremost about phase 2 of the
Mhm.
MCU. Captain America Winter Soldier. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, my favorite movie of all time. Avengers Age of Ultron. An excellent film. One of the most underrated MCU movies, I would say. Between all that, Ant-Man, really good. Thor: Dark World, not good.
Wah, wah.
Iron Man 3, I'm a lot lower on than other people.
I like that movie.
So when I compare those top movies to the top movies we have here, Guardians 3, Thunderbolts, Deadpool and Wolverine, and you add in Loki season 2, Agatha All Along, Daredevil Born Again, I might put this ahead of Phase 2.
Hmm.
I think I do. Um, Phase 2, I think a little more top heavy than this.
Well,
And
all it is top, right? Like
well,
it's
I mean,
Phase 5 has double the amount of projects.
sure.
It Phase 2 was so like every chapter had a lot more weight to it because there's less of them. And it
Let's
is
do it.
top heavy.
Absolutely.
We have an Avengers movie. We have the most controversial Avengers movie, even though that movie I think a lot of people have now gathered around.
Come around on.
Dark World is like the known worst, well, for a lot of people, the worst MCU movie. A lot of people say,
Perennial bottom five.
yeah,
I've looked at a lot of MCU rankings. Perennial bottom five.
elf suck.
I'm not very high on Iron Man 3. Ant-Man's
Right.
great. Um, but that's why it's hard. That's why it's hard to compare Infinity Saga phases to Multiverse Saga phases. So I go to Phase 4. Movies. Shang-Chi. Great. No Way Home. Fantastic. Perennial top 10. Right?
That's right.
You're number one, if I'm not mistaken.
You bet your bottom dollar.
Wakanda Forever. Really good.
Very good.
Multiverse of Madness. Thor Love and Thunder. A little less so. Not bad. Not great. Eternals. Need to rewatch it. Black Widow, a lot better than people think it is, in my opinion.
Age well with Thunderbolts, I'd say.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So, movies wise, probably giving the nod to Phase 4 a little bit, but then you throw in the TV, guys. WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki season 1, and Hawkeye. All shows I love, especially WandaVision, Hawkeye. So I do think it's below Phase 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a little higher than Phase 2 for me.
Wow.
Give me a B minus. Give me a gentleman's B minus, maybe even a B on a good day. I think you look at this, we have 12 live action projects here. I have 4. I'm looking at 4 that I have no interest in rewatching again. 8 out of 12?
Yeah.
That's not bad. We can work with that.
I am surprised
work with 8 out of 12.
I am surprised you have Phase 2 below. I'm not gonna lie. Because you are the Guardians guy.
Facts.
It's your favorite movie, Matt.
That's a fact.
Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Really good.
And you're also the Age of Ultron
Age
is
of
better
Ultron
than we all
guy.
think
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
So you must really hate
You're right.
Guy Pearce.
You're right. You talked me out of it. I do. I do hate Guy Pearce in that movie. I'm very low on Iron Man 3. I'm not afraid to say it. I don't
Clearly,
even think it's that out of a take.
I think that's clear. Like that that is
You're
clear.
right. And I'm higher on Ant-Man than other people too. You've talked me out of it.
Okay.
But I will say, I'm going to give Phase 5 a B minus to B. Give me an 83, 84%.
Yeah.
Phase 2, 85, 86.
I'm right there with you. I think if I had this, I put this as a C plus. I would then have Phase 2 as like B minus B. Like, yeah. I'm right where I'm with you where like these are close to each other and probably the bottom 2 if you're counting everything.
They're a lot closer than I thought they would be going into this. But 8 out of 12 for me, that seems like a success, especially as we're moving into the let's not do everything era.
Yeah.
You know? Phase 4 has got a lot of trash in it too.
Oh yeah. Phase 4 has the most projects. It's just
Slop.
Phase 4 is just exploding. It's just like there's just so much and it's
Too
not
much,
all
too fast.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Phase 5 MCU review. It's exciting stuff coming forward as we move into Phase 6. Obviously, next on the docket for the Marvel Cinematic Universe will be Fantastic Four, kicking off Phase 6. We're very excited about that. Next week, we will have our preview for Fantastic Four in both story and box office alike. And then after Fantastic Four, we got a lot of really exciting stuff planned from the MCU side of things. So get ready for all of that. Thank you so much for listening. The Direct Podcast is back again. If you're an old fan and found us, thank you. If you're a new fan and found us, welcome in. We're excited to have you. Follow us here on podcast channels. Please leave a review, share it with a friend. That's a big one as well. Subscribe to the Direct Extras YouTube page, thedirect.com. For David Thompson, I'm Matt Rimke. Until then, see you next time.